Riverina.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. $8 million. It's not a lot of money, particularly when you consider the amount of money spent on last year's referendum, about $450 million. $8 million when you consider the amount of money that Treasury handles every year to run this nation. The sort of money that goes through the infrastructure investment pipeline. $8 million is but loose change. $8 million is what Mornington Island in the Gulf of Carpentaria needs for a swimming pool, needs for an aquatic centre. I visited that island as Acting Prime Minister just before I lost the role as Deputy Prime Minister. It was the last official duty as such that I did. I'd given those people a commitment to get them a swimming pool. And as long as I've got breath in me, and as long as they don't have a swimming pool, I will fight for them. It's a long way from the Riverina, the landlocked electorate in New South Wales, southwest of the state, that I represent. But you have to have purpose if you come to this place. You have to have vision and drive, and you have to do what's right. And whilst all politics is local, this is a cause to celeb for me, because the mayor there, Kyle Yanner, he is a beaut bloke. I've met a lot of mayors in my time. He's one of the best. He has a young family. They've just added a newborn baby boy. Congratulations to his family. He leads that community which just doesn't have what we have on the mainland. And when you look at some of the statistics, they are really, really alarming. Mornington Island is home to around 1,200 people, 86% of whom identify as being Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders. They've got up to 25% unemployment. It's a very young community and there is high youth unemployment. The unemployment rate for Queensland is around 7.5%, which is all too high. But when you consider that 40% of families with children under the age of 15 are jobless, and you compare that to the state rate, it's in the seat of Kennedy, it is just alarming. The total median family yearly income is less than half the Queensland average, half. Their disadvantage is so prevalent. 100% of residents are in the most disadvantaged category under the Statistician's Office Relative Socioeconomic Disadvantaged Index. 100%, every one of them. The death rate for Mornington Shire was some 40% higher than for Queensland in 2019, and the state's Chief Health Officer's report of 2018 stated there were 21-year difference in median age of death between Indigenous Queensland and non-Indigenous 59 years compared to 80 years in the 3-year period 2013 to 15, and this was similar for males and females. Mornington Island doesn't ask for much. Kyle Yanner doesn't expect much. I have been to see the Infrastructure Minister, the member for Ballarat, on a number of occasions. I know she's a person of goodwill. I will say that. I think she was a bit surprised when I came to see her for the very first meeting, because being a former infrastructure minister for 3 1/3 years, and here I was, cap in hand, for the very first meeting, she probably thought I was coming in to talk about my local area. My local area needs things too, I get that. But these people need it more. These people need it more than anyone else in Australia, an aquatic centre. It is very hot in any month, let alone the hottest months, in Mornington Island. And I implore, I beg, I ask the government to please look beyond some of the big things that you consider are important and priority and fund this aquatic centre. I can't state enough how important it is, not just because I promised them that I would deliver it, but because they have gone without for so long. And a swimming pool, well, in July 2021, the month after I visited, when I asked for a report, it was June that I lost the job as Deputy Prime Minister and Infrastructure Minister. But in July 2021, a report said that the cost of the pool would be $6.5 million. Now, obviously, with the contingencies and increased construction costs, especially in remote communities, they estimate that now it's 7.9, a little bit over, $7.9 million. It's not a lot of money in the scheme of things. It truly isn't. And that community deserves it. That community absolutely deserves it. The 16th annual, the anniversary for the Stolen Generation report, the sorry day, the national apology that Prime Minister Rudd gave back in 2008, there are some stark things within that. And we haven't done well enough as a nation. We didn't do well enough as a coalition government. Labor is falling short now, and we do need to do better. That is the case. I do believe earnestly and honestly that we did some very good things in the Abbott, Turnbull, Morrison years, and we made a difference, and that's to be commended. But the Albanese government obviously spent a lot of time and effort last year with the referendum. The results in Riverina were very emphatic. 75.08% said no, 24.92% yes. 100 out of 100 booths voted no. And the people spoke. That is democracy. But we have to tackle disadvantage together. I know, and I was very proud that we did some good work with the Wiradjuri Dreaming Centre through employment opportunities with Inland Rail, particularly in the first couple of stages that I oversaw. I know that Snowy Hydro 2.0, there were a number of Aboriginal people for whom it was their first ever job, and they had a function at the Wagga Wagga Beach where they expressed their delight at being given the training and the opportunity to work on that exciting project. But now that the referendum has been done and dusted, and I appreciate that, as the member for Jagga Jagga said, there are people who are hurting. I understand that. It's time to tackle disadvantage together, to say, well, yes, we had the national vote, the nation spoke, but what can we and what must we do now going forward to help those Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who need it most, through jobs, through, as the member for Adelaide said, and he shook his head as he said he couldn't believe that there are communities where there's not fresh drinking water. I agree with him. I've seen in Africa how people have eye disease because they don't have fresh and clean water to just wash their faces with. You know, we can't have that in Australia. We're better than that. We must provide those remote communities the services that they need, that they want, they expect, and, Deputy Speaker, they deserve. They are Australians. They are the first Australians. And across the Riverina, whilst we've done much, I commend the work done by Hewitt Wyman and others, Stan Grant Senior and so many others, to break the cycle of disadvantage. I acknowledge that I do come from Wiradjuri country, acknowledge that we're meeting here on Ngunnawal and Ngambri territory. It is time to tackle the disadvantage together. The speeches given by Prime Minister Albanese and Opposition Leader Dutton the other day were very good, but we need more than words. We need action. We need particular action in those remote communities. The cashless welfare debit card needs to be reinstated and very soon, to end the cycle of domestic violence and alcohol and other abuses that Aboriginal communities face all too much.
And I thank the member for Riverina for that contribution. And I give the call to the member for Macquarie.